On this episode of Damsels in the DMs.
Dear damsels, I have been on the apps for basically the last 10 years and only had one serious boyfriend for about 2 months. I'm honestly extremely depressed about it as I am tired of the constant rejection and 3 years away from 30. I know people say it's not a big deal to turn 30 or whatever, but honestly, I want to be a young mom, and for me, it is. What do I do to find a partner, and how do I keep the faith to stay in this vicious cycle? Love, alone and eternally on the apps. This message is intended as a reminder that we are not licensed professionals, not psychiatrists or psychologists. If you have a serious problem, please seek professional help. The National Suicide Hotline is 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255.
There's some damsels in the DM.
Yes, queen.
Tell us what's the vibe. What's the vibe? There's some damsels in the DM. Please tell us what's the vibe. DMs, yeah we see them, yeah we read them. DMs, we don't need them, we just leave them.
Please.
Yeah.
It's going down in the DMs. Bye.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Damsels in the DMs. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Osh.
And today we have influencer Suki Luser of the account Suki Luser, who I just learned today her name is actually Suki Lu. And this is funny because she dates one of Brian's best friends, which is how we get the pleasure of talking to her today. And I am an idiot and didn't realize that Luser was a play on like being a loser. And because she's Canadian, I thought that it was like a Canadian last name, Luser.
She was really sweet and really fun to talk to. She tells us everything from being an influencer, how she built her career and her platform, to how it changed with dating and then also getting engaged, which is very
engaged,
cool.
Buying a house together, doing all of the big adult steps that some of us, including myself, are still waiting in the wings to figure out.
Me too.
But let's have Suki tell us how to do it. All right, so we are here with Suki. Hello, Suki.
Hello, it's nice to be here.
Nice to have you here. I love your background, by the way. All those plants are giving me life.
Oh, yeah, I
It
know.
looks like Josh's house.
No, it doesn't. Lauren stayed at my house and she was like, should I water your plants? And I was like, yes, please, they're dead. I've been
Yeah,
gone for 2 months and I just like
Yeah, I'm a recent plant mom. Only when we moved into our place like a few months ago, where we're like, we don't know how to decorate the house, so let's do plants. It's the easiest way to really,
is the best way.
yeah.
So you may
Like,
have
we suck
noticed
at like
Suki just said we, and the we that she is referring to is Patrick, who is her new fiance, who
Yes.
also happens to be Brian's best friend. So that is how
Yes.
Suki and I know each other.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, me and Lauren, we only met like 3 months. It's been a long time since I've known your name, but I've never like actually gotten to like meet you until like a few months ago, actually.
Yeah.
Because
we hung out. When did we hang out before that? There was another time, right?
it was Brian's birthday, like
Oh yeah, but we didn't really get to see each other.
yeah, exactly.
Only a little bit.
Yeah. Right,
Yeah.
right.
And for those of you who are not watching the video, Suki did birthday in quotation marks because Brian and Lauren have this thing where they celebrate their birthday 6 months after their birthdays happened.
Yeah.
Okay, we're
Yeah.
late to everything. That's not my fault. Okay. Some people are early, some people are late. We're late.
I mean, it's a good like way to really get people to plan out ahead so that they have no excuse to be like, no, we can't come. So
Exactly. We just want all the people there.
yeah, that's
Suki,
fun.
take us through like building your platform, becoming an influencer, why you started sharing everything with the world, and then a little bit about how your platform changed when you started dating Patrick.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess when I first started my platform or decided to do like the whole social media influencer thing, I was actually going through like one of the like the biggest transitions of my life, which was like moving from Toronto, Canada to California. And I think at that time in my life, I was like 26 and I felt lost, just like every other person in their 20s. Like, I'm not sure about you guys. When I turned 25, I had like this like quarter life crisis thing where I'm like, I felt like I just didn't know where I was going in my life, and like I just felt like something had to change. So when a job opportunity came up and required me to move to California, I just jumped at the opportunity. And back then, one of my like dreams was to like travel for a living. I don't know if that's still my dream, but 10 few years ago, I was like, oh, I would love to travel for a living, but I didn't know how. And I learned about how like brands could sponsor you on trips or whatever. So I'm like, oh, like maybe I'll just try out this like influencer thing and see where it goes. And since I was going to move anyways, I knew I'd have a lot of opportunities to like make content and just share with my audience like all the adventures and whatever I go on. And I think I mostly resonated with people was when I first started my platform. I would always share my story about why I decided to move, and I always encourage people to like try new things, jump at opportunities, and just take action in your life if you really want something to change. And it would make me feel really happy if like people would message me in the DMs and was like that they really needed to hear that like encouraging message, and then obviously in addition to that, like growing a social media platform also takes like a mixture of like luck, timing, and like persistence. I think I started my platform in 2019 when like the whole creator economy wasn't that booming yet. Like TikTok wasn't around yet. Space wasn't as saturated, so it was a lot easier to grow your Instagram back then compared to like now. And also, yeah, just being really persistent. Like you need to like have content to post frequently, be really diligent on your posting schedule and all that stuff. So yeah, like I just kind of like stuck with it, and it's been like almost 3.5 years now since I've really started the platform, and it's just nice to just see like the hard work pay off.
And how did your platform change when you started dating?
Oh, right. It definitely was less. So in the beginning when I first started it, yeah, I was like single for like that whole year. And I was also younger. So like I would say like my platform was a little bit more like I would be more willing to like post bikini photos or just more whatever type of photo. Like I was just more brave into like posting whatever I wanted. When I started dating Patrick, he actually started taking my photos now. Like
he's actually such a good photographer too.
Yeah.
He offers to take pictures of me and Brian on trips, and it's just like it's not gonna look as good as Suki's.
Yeah, he generally likes like taking photos for people. Like he's like very, very, very. He just likes seeing people like be happy once they see a great photo of themselves. Like I'm sure you guys can relate when you have a great photo of yourself. You're like, yes, I really like. Yeah, so yeah, like since I started dating him, he started like taking all my photos, and I wouldn't say like my platform really changed, but like I guess it's just a bit more wholesome and just more like I've been posting him on my stories. I share more about my like adventures with him. I think in the beginning I didn't really post him that much because like I also wasn't sure if like he was comfortable, whether like I wanted him to like broadcast him to this like audience that could be mean. Like you never know, people on the internet. Like and to be fair, like there have been like hate comments of just people with like fake accounts who would just like say some random thing and like mean about it or even about me. Like so like it was definitely I didn't like really share him in the beginning, and then it wasn't until recently I kind of like slowly integrated him into my platform, and people it was a known fact that like I had a boyfriend. I actually think my content has gone better since dating him because
well, he's such a good photographer.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just nice, it's just easy because like most of my photos are like when we go on trips, and it's just nice to like have someone that can help me create content while on trips. Because when I was single and go on trips, I would like either have to unwillingly have to ask my friend and be like, can you take this photo of me, or like use a tripod or whatever, and it just wouldn't be like as nice as the photos he takes. So yeah, like I think now with him in my life, a lot of my content is just like sharing like things that we do together and like the trips we go on, and but then before it was more like just me and living my best single life. Like
I love that. How do you think that's changed like your following dynamic? Did you think like your followers were affected by, because I know a bunch of my friends are influencers as well, and when they post, they've been telling me that their followers decrease or increase based on like what's happening.
Yeah,
So
for
I
sure.
think
Josh
like
is also an influencer, so but okay, talk to
Oh.
everybody else about it.
but like they're like more women started following them once they got boyfriends, but then
Yeah,
the
yeah.
men like decreased.
I think
Yeah,
we
no,
talked
I
about this
definitely.
too, Suki, on the
Yeah,
party
when
bus.
we were, yeah, like very like I remember like very lightly because I was really drunk and we were like just
But we had a really
yeah,
good heart to heart, and that's what led
yes,
to
yes,
today's conversation.
yeah,
So
exactly. No, I definitely saw that change as well. Like even like just when I posted our engagement photo like yesterday, like some guys in my DMs were like unfollowed, and I'll be like, why do you need to tell me that? Like, why do I care?
just do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
unfollow me
yeah.
then. I don't need to know.
Yeah. Like it's like, did you think you had like a chance to begin with or something? But anyways, yeah, like I definitely feel like whenever I post like Patrick, whatever, like girls would reply to my stories more and be like, oh, like that's so cute, or like we love like a supportive man. Like they'll just like be more responsive to that type of content. Whereas I think as I started pushing Patrick more, I actually got less DMs from guys, like less creepy DMs from guys because they probably like, oh, like, well, she has a boyfriend now. Like, what? Like, it's not that they'll stop them, but like, it's just less. Like, the volume is less. I mean, I actually like that. Like, it's like just less noise and like just less creepy stuff happening.
And how do you
So.
handle when people say like negative comments, whether it's about you or about Patrick? Like, how do you brush that
Mhm.
off?
I mean, normally I like just kind of understand it's like the nature of the internet. I just don't take it personally. Like, obviously, there will be days where maybe I'm already having a bad day, and then I'll like open Instagram and like see some comment, and I'll be like, okay, well, cool. And like, it'll like maybe bother me for a little. But then, like, overall, like, I just feel like being an influencer, you actually develop kind of like thick skin and you just kind of understand like there's just going to be so many opinions out there and so many random haters don't want to like see you happy or succeed. And I think it's just kind of understanding that'll like it kind of just helps me like kind of see it as noise and cut it off. And like honestly, I'm like confident in myself enough and my life enough that like what other people say won't really affect me that much. And I think like having my close support system like just makes me like already like I know my worth, and other people, random people on the internet won't like kind of affect the opinion of myself. So yeah.
Like these
I could
people
use
hide
it.
behind no profile pictures, like no
Yeah.
content on their own feed, and they feel like they have the
Yeah.
right to judge you and make these comments.
Right. And I'm just like sometimes I'm like, I don't understand. Like you literally hide like you don't even use your real account. Like at least own up to what you say. Like I don't get, do you just not like feel confident enough to say it to my face using your own account? And like
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I want to step back a little bit because as you mentioned, when you first started your platform, you were single, you were living in SF, you moved here from Canada. I want to know about like the transition into dating Patrick, like what was happening before that, and then how you knew he was the one.
Yeah.
All of the backstory.
Yeah, we want to know
Yeah.
your dating life.
The details. Yes. As you mentioned, girls want to know the details and we are here.
Yes, we want to know everything.
So yeah, like I moved like April 2019 and I was like single for like a year before I met Patrick. And I think during that year, like I was very happily being single, honestly. Like I was in a relationship right before I moved to California. So like I was kind of like honestly like living out my like best single life. I would be like dating guys here and there, but like nothing like serious, nothing I wanted to like commit to, and no one made me feel like I wanted to commit to them. And I think as my platform was growing, I was also like meeting a lot of people. So like I just had like a lot of opportunities come my way where I just didn't feel like I wanted to settle down and like tie myself to like one person. But then it was COVID lockdown, April 2020, where like you just couldn't do anything, like nothing was happening, and I downloaded Hinge the beginning of 2020, And like I went on a few dates, but like nothing serious. And then April 2020 came around and I matched with Patrick and I saw like May May, which is his family dog. Of course, like a dog pic wins me over. But the May May is like a Rottweiler mixed German Shepherd, and those are like two of the breeds I love. So I really was drawn to May May, which is funny because it's Patrick that I'm supposed to be drawn to. But
But that's
but
like
yeah,
still true because now they have May May and Suki is fully a dog mom like myself.
yeah, exactly. I
Osh
pretty
also like
much
those two breeds, don't you, Osh?
Yeah, I
Oh,
love those two breeds.
yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And so so I actually I messaged him first and was like, "Oh my God, is that your dog?" And the funny thing is, I never message guys first. Like on the dating apps, I usually will just wait for whatever that comes. And I don't know. I don't know if it was like lockdown, I was feeling frisky or whatever. Like I was like, I'm just gonna message this guy first.
Or it was May May.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I messaged first and was like, "Oh my God, is that your dog?" And then that's kind of like how we like first really started. But before Pat, like I honestly met no guy that like really wanted me to like commit to. I always thought that I would just like be with someone that would like work, but like wouldn't make me feel like that. I would always be like meh about guys. Like it's never me feeling like yes, like this is the one. So I always never thought that like finding the one was a thing. Like I thought it was just be like finding someone that works, and it would be that. That was my mindset during my like single life year, which I wasn't like that sad about. I was just kind of like living in the moment and like just doing and meeting people as they come. But yeah, like once I met Pat, I was like, wow, like I didn't know this would be like a feeling that like I could feel. I feel like I just kind of like felt lucky that I was able to like find a guy on an app that I could like feel so strongly about, and that also has a dog that I really feel strongly about. I think just the transition from when I was single to meeting him, just my mindset on the concept of like love and all that stuff has like changed a lot, which is good.
Yeah. I remember when Pat first started dating you because I think we were on a trip to Hawaii. Around the time. I forget. You weren't there. I forget where you were. But
I was in Toronto.
Yeah, one thing that I've always loved about Pat, and it's funny because you brought this up earlier, is that like Pat is so generous, and you're absolutely right. Like he does really thrive off of other people's happiness. So like Pat, like most guys are not this thoughtful, but Pat will be like pouring out like really nice tequila shots or like getting like all the limes like cut up perfectly with like on the side, and then like bring it out for you on a platter. And then somebody will be like, "Oh, sorry, like I don't drink tequila," and he'll like run right back in and be like, "Well, here, I brought you vodka." Like he's just very thoughtful and like really good at taking care of things. And then like when you guys started dating, I remember him immediately being like, "She's the one, she's the one." And I think it was Alice who was like, "Suki's an influencer." And I was like, "Oh, really? Like, did she come off like influency?" Because at the time, like, a ton of influencers before I knew Osh. And
I'm not an influencer. I don't know why you keep saying that.
You're like a pseudo influencer. You do brand deals, Osh. That's influencing.
I've done two.
Okay, whatever. She is. You'll see. Anyway,
yes, I'm gonna stalk after.
Yeah, stalk me, and
you'll be like, "Oh wow, Lauren, you were right." Anyway, so Alice was like, "Yeah, but she's not influencing at all. She's like so grounded. Like I don't even know when she takes these pictures because like it happens in secret." And then like it was so true because you are so down to earth and you are so grounded. But because I brought up Alice, I want to bring up something because I think this is really interesting for our listeners. That before you and Pat lived together, the two of you guys lived with another couple. Like, and also the other thing that I think is interesting is that you guys moved in like pretty early on in the relationship. So I want to talk about all of that because we don't have a lot of people who talk about like moving in with their partners. And I just did that. So it's really interesting to hear your perspective on it.
So as I said, I met Pat like April 2020, peak COVID lockdown. And that definitely made things like speed up 10 times than the normal, I think, dating trajectory of like a couple. Like we moved in together almost only like 6 months of dating, which kind of like the timing worked out because my lease was like ending November 2020-ish, and then they used to have a other roommate beyond that, like so it was like Pat, Alice, Akshay, and then Gian, so like four of them, and then the guy was like also coincidentally gonna like move out, so they were actually gonna be missing a roommate anyways. So the timing kind of just like worked out in that aspect. And like when we first started dating, I first started going over like once or twice a week, and then eventually like 3 to 4 times a week, and then like five, like it came to a point where it just didn't make sense for me to like constantly go home to get clothes so that I could like break into Patrick's place. So he was like, just pack suitcases and just like come and just like stay at my place. So I would be over there for like weeks at a time, like sometimes even months. Yeah, like after like the whole like lease thing was coming to an end, we just kind of was like, okay, it only makes sense if like I move in because I am never home and I'm just paying rent for no reason. So it kind of like, and at that point we were also like really comfortable with each other, and like we were pretty much living together. Even it just wasn't on paper. Like I wasn't like on the lease or whatever. But so it just like made sense for me to just like move and not having to like pay like rent at my own place, and then also like constantly like go to his place. The whole like roommate thing was a little interesting because I mean I already was living with roommates, but then when we moved in together, like as you know, Alice and Akshay were also there, and
For our listeners, just to clarify, so Brian and Pat are part of a group of friends that and I'm not making this up, they call themselves the Elite Eight, okay? And it's like a very close-knit group of friends from high school. It's hard to break into the Elite Eight, like as the girlfriends, the wags of the Elite Eight. And Akshay and Alice have been like together forever. So Suki was coming into like a difficult dynamic, kind of coming into this household because they had been together forever.
yeah.
Pat had another long-term girlfriend before the girls, as forementioned by Suki, before Suki came into the picture. Backstory.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Me and Alice actually talked about this. So when me and Alice first kind of met, we didn't like get along that well. I don't know if you know this.
She told me that you would give her like your brand packages.
Yeah. So like, because like in the beginning, I think because Pat was also, because now I know the backstory because me and Alice like talked about it. She was saying how like Pat used to like bring home girls, and just she would have to like constantly be like besties and friends with all these girls, and like it was just kind of like tiring for her. And then also I think in the beginning when she didn't know me yet and my identity was just influencer to her, like I think she was just a little bit more closed off than normal, because I think I don't know, like I know there's like this like persona around influencers that like people just automatically like assume. So it's fair for her to like kind of
people do it to
have
me
that
too. I'm sure with you too, Ash.
So I'm sure like Alice like just had that same kind of perception of me in the beginning. So we didn't really like talk that much, or like I would try to kind of like be friends with her, but like she wasn't like super open to it, I guess. So the brand packages thing, it was like sometimes like when I would get stuff from brands, I would ask her and be like, oh, like do you see anything in this package that you want, like please take some, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And
Alice probably didn't want any of it.
Yeah, she didn't. She's just like nothing really like interesting. Like eventually she was like, oh, like I'll take some of the skincare stuff, but then like in the beginning she's like no. But yeah, like exactly. So yeah, like it took like a bit of time for me to really get closer with Alex and Akshay. Even like I remember in the beginning I even told Pat, I'm like, Alice hates me, like she hates me. And then Pat's like, no, what are you talking about, blah blah blah. And then like after obviously me and Alice like talked, like we're like really close now, we're like bestie now. We're like dog moms also, like together. So we're totally cool. But yeah, it was just like interesting in the beginning because, as Lauren, you mentioned, like it was always like Pat, Alice, and Akshay. Like it was some three that were in that house. And they also obviously had like their own like situation going on. Like I was kind of like the one that's like being inserted into like the house, and then like Alice really likes dogs and I really like dogs, so like I think me and Alice like, really had a lot of similar interests. I think it was just more so like we just had to open up to each other like somehow. And I remember like in the beginning when I first met like the Elite Eight, whatever, like I wasn't like that talkative because I was just like, I don't know this dynamic. Like I feel like everyone's just so close and I'm like, I don't know. But anyways, so I guess like fast forward, like me and Alice and Akshay and Pat would go on like ski trips together and just other random trips. So then that just kind of like slowly helped me get closer to them. And now it eventually became so fun living with them. Like near like the last year before we moved to our new place, like it was actually sad, like having to move out and like not live with them anymore
It was
because
a fun dynamic.
yeah, exactly. And like whenever people would visit, they would like stay at our place, like stay on the couch or whatever. And then also Alice and actually got a new dog. They got Milo, the husky. So it was like 2 couple house, 2 dog house. Like it was just like a fun house. So and then now me and Pat, like we live alone with May in our own house. So it's definitely a little less like fun, but it's just nice to like have our own space. And I'm glad that like when we first moved in together, there wasn't any like red flags that like you know how like once you move in with someone, everything is discovered about them, like just the smallest things. Like obviously there were definitely
I made an
little
Excel doc
quirks.
when we moved in together. Yeah, I know.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh wait, about what? Just like rules or like
Have I mentioned this on the podcast lately? Have I even told this to you, Ash?
I don't know.
Well, Brian and I, when we moved in together, like we've been together for like it's going to be 7 years in December. So like, but we've never lived together or even really in the same city. So like we didn't realize that our cleaning styles are different, and also like what we value in cleaning. Like I value overall cleanliness, like if things are put back. Like, I don't like messiness of space, but Brian only values 3 things, and it's dishes going in the dishwasher, trash being taken out, and anything Ernie related. And those are the only 3 things that count. So if you're not doing those 3 things, then you're not doing anything. So he put together this Excel document where he quantified tasks, gave it like a point system so that like each task has like a certain value of points. And
oh
like
my gosh,
I had
that's
come
so
home
funny.
after like a long week. Suki's here talking about like what a wonderful like relationship she's having engaged, and I'm like, this man put together an Excel document.
I mean, at least he's being specific.
Yeah, very specific.
Communication is key, but yeah.
So yeah, I came home from like a long day to this Excel document which was like quantified with a point system. And anyway, now we've like since figured it out, and it's like gotten much better, because part of it is that like we just had to realize that like we had to make adjustments, since now that I'm in school, it's not just like the adjustment of living together, but it's also just the adjustment of schedules, because I'm like very rarely home now. So like unfortunately he just has to be like the lead pet parent.
Yeah, right.
I'm not even shocked about this Excel document. Like usually I'd be so shocked about something like this, but that's just so Brian.
I know.
And I actually really love that. I think I'm gonna copy
Brian's
that.
Brian's like a planner, right? Like
yes. Maybe you could date Brian then, Osh, since you like Excel documents so much.
Yeah, I'll give it a go. Just send him over to LA.
He's thrilled. He loves your place.
It's actually funny because I actually have a friend who like they got her and her boyfriend got into an argument, and the guy made a PowerPoint on like why he's like sorry and like why they shouldn't be mad. Like I was like, whoa. That's
well, I'm gonna tell Brian that, because I would like him to make a PowerPoint about why his Excel document isn't a good strategy.
Okay, so the elephant in the room is that you just got engaged very recently. So congratulations. We've said it off air and we've briefly mentioned it on this episode, but can you walk us through the proposal and if you had any idea what was coming?
Yeah. So originally, I was gonna go on this Korea/Vietnam trip alone / meet my friends there, and then because then Pat wasn't able to take off work, so then last minute he was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna join you because I don't want you like traveling alone or whatever." I'm like, "Okay, sure." Like that's way better. So he joined me. And when we were in Vietnam, so I guess backing up, we did look at rings together before, like a while ago, like a few months ago, and so the ring itself like wasn't like super surprising. Like I kind of knew like the basic of like how everything would look, whatever. So then we were at
Also, you got a lab diamond, right? Brian tells me this all the time about you getting this lab diamond. So I'd love to also walk through the pros and cons of a lab diamond.
So I didn't even know about it that much until we like went to the jeweler and we were like, oh, like what's the main difference? Blah blah blah. Like, and I think the main difference is so like to the naked eye, you can't see a difference between like an actual diamond and a lab diamond. So that was also like, okay, like, cool. Like if I can't see the difference, then why spend 3 times more than what I need to? But then the main difference is just like if you ever plan to like resell your like ring, a diamond will like appreciate in value, but lab won't. Like it'll like stay the same or depreciate. But yeah, the price difference is like crazy, like different. Way cheaper than a normal diamond, but since you can't like tell the difference, we were kind of like, okay, we'd rather just spend that extra money on something else. Is Brian telling you about it because he wants to get
110%? Because he's trying to be like, oh, Suki got a lab diamond. Suki, your friend who's like so cute and fashionable and people love her, lab diamond. And when's the wedding so I can put it in my calendar?
We have no idea.
Oh, okay. You let me know.
We have no idea.
She's invited.
I'm definitely getting invited. It's the Elite Eight.
Part of the Elite Eight.
I'm like adjacent.
That's so funny. Yeah, I heard there were like tiers. Like there was like Elite Eight, and then there's like Jose Hustlers or something. I don't even know.
Oh,
there's like the 8, and then there's like newcomers. I don't even know.
Oh, anyways. Yeah, because Joe is a newcomer, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. What? Oh, is he? Oh, I thought even Akshay was a newcomer.
Oh, yeah, because
anyway,
later, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So we were like checking into the Four Seasons in Vietnam, like Da Nang. We're in the city, and then we couldn't check in yet because we were early. Like we arrived at like 11 a.m. and check-in was like 1 p.m. So like, oh, let's just chill by the pool. And then we were just like by the pool, and then out of nowhere, he's like, out of 10, how much do you like your outfit right now? And I'm like, 2, because I was wearing this crop top with these like jean shorts. Like it was honestly, we were coming from another hotel and I just wanted to be comfortable and I just put on anything, and it was like really humid and hot, so I just like wore this random ass outfit, and I was like 2, and he's like, oh, and then he's like, can you go change? And I was like, okay, this is so big now. Like, why am I changing? And then in the morning of, he was like, oh, like we bring another outfit so that we could like take photos or whatever, which is like pretty standard. Like we do that a lot, so I didn't think much of it. So I was like, yeah, sure. So I had like that black dress that I wore in my bag already. So I was like, okay, I'll just like change to this.
Did he make it like go change so you can take the pictures? Or he was just
kind of, but I was already like suspecting something because I was like, why is he like, we were just relaxing by the pool. So I was like, why is he like asking me to change?
Why is he on this trip? Why is he
yeah, exactly. So I went to go change, and then when we finally were able to check in, we walked to our villa, and then he was like, can you stand outside for a little bit? And then I'm like, okay, cool. And then I like was standing outside for like 10 minutes, and then he finally like opened the door, and then he like walked me in, and then there were like this rose petal bath set up that said like marry me with like a heart, and then there was like a bouquet of roses, and then yeah, like the villa was like really pretty, and he just kept walking me towards like the front of the villa where like the ocean was, which is where like he set up like the camera and all that stuff. And then yeah, he kind of just like gave the speech, went down on one knee, and then did the whole spiel thing. It was I like teared a little bit, but then it was mostly like funny, kind of like I was just kind of like I was like giggling and stuff. But yeah, it was super super cute. Like I think I I feel like I knew it was gonna happen, but I didn't. But then I wasn't sure like when, and when he kind of baited himself out the last like 30 minutes of when it was gonna happen, I was like, oh, okay, it's gonna happen. So I was able to like kind of like prep myself a little for it, I guess.
There
But
was
I
one
did
thing
like,
in particular that I loved about your reaction, because
Mhm.
my pet peeve on people who get engaged is that every person that I have seen get engaged always goes like this. Put their hands
Oh, yeah.
on top of their face. They're like, I can't believe it. And it
Oh,
makes it
yeah, or
look
like
like this is the best thing that has ever happened to you. You kind of laughed, and then it was
yeah.
like, obviously there was a song on it, so you can tell me if I'm wrong in this, but it seemed like you were like, I don't know, I guess. Like it seemed like you did something kind of funny, which to
Yeah.
me was just like so genuine, and also like because you're confident in your relationship, this was not like the best thing that had ever happened to
Yeah,
you, which
yeah,
I just like
exactly.
really respected.
Yeah, yeah. I think what I said was like, I'm a wifey or something. I said maybe at first. I was like maybe, and then after I was like, yeah, and then I'm like, I'm a wifey, and I was just like, yeah, flashing the ring to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I just feel like the dynamic of me in past relationship is really like best friend vibe, like giggly and like kind of just like always joking around. Like we'll be serious when we need to be, but always joking around and all that. So like when that happened, it was just like a happy, like it was just so like it was like touching, but then at the same time it was like exciting. So it was just kind of like fun and light for us. But yeah, like I am very happy that like he asked. Guess well, I'll let you know when the wedding is. I feel like I'm just late. I'm just like the worst planner, so I'm just like lazy of like when
I mean,
to.
just enjoy being engaged. You just got
Yeah,
engaged,
yeah,
like sit in it. You just got back from your trip. Like
yeah,
enjoy that
exactly.
moment, because once wedding planning starts, obviously I've never done this before, so I'm not speaking from experience. But
Yeah, yeah,
like once
yeah.
wedding planning starts, I know how stressful it can be.
Anyway, should we get into today's letter?
Let's
Mhm.
do it.
Let's do it. Dear damsels, I have been on the apps for basically the last 10 years and only had one serious boyfriend for about 2 months. I'm honestly extremely depressed about it, as I am tired of the constant rejection and 3 years away from 30. I know people say it's not a big deal to turn 30 or whatever, but honestly, I want to be a young mom, and for me, it is. I'm not trying to make this super dark, but I will say I've been in an extremely dark place, feeling like no one is for me, and I'm honestly not sure what's wrong with me that I can't find a partner. What do I do to find a partner, and how do I keep the faith to stay in this vicious cycle? Love, alone and eternally on the apps.
Woof.
A sad one.
Okay. Yeah, 10 years. I feel like Pat actually also has a friend that he's guy. He's also been on the apps for like almost 10 years. Probably only had like a few months serious relationship, and then it ended. Um, but I think with the apps, I feel like it's important to use it as at like a very comfortable pace, like because I have a lot of friends who go through cycles of like burnout because they like aggressively swipe, go on 3 to 4 dates a week with like different people, and then none of them works out, and then become super sad, and then just like repeats. And I feel like just like that method, you just get so it just gets so demotivating because you're just meeting so many people at once, and if none of them works, you just kind of feel like you start to feel like something's wrong with you. And I honestly don't think that's the case. Like, and I personally feel like it's better to be single than to be with someone who you're settling with, like you're settled and you go down the level just to have someone there be with you. So I just feel like it's just important to like take it slowly and like really find someone that like you will actually like want to be with, and it'll actually work out. And honestly, like I think so I think you're 3 years away from 30. You're like young still. I still think that's like young and there's still time. And I just think that like when you try so hard to achieve something and you try to just put all your energy into like one thing, like that's when you probably won't find it. Like I think you should honestly like kind of like focus on like other aspects of your life first, really figure out who you are and like what you really want in a person, and just don't think about like this whole like finding your person, and I feel like that person will like just come your way. Like I think for Patrick, I wasn't in a place, like as I said, I was like single living my best life. I wasn't in a place to really like be like, oh my god, I want someone right now. But like he just kind of like came into my life, and it all just like worked out.
And
Just
you were brave enough to reach out too. Like you found
yeah,
something about the dog and you just decided to go for it, which I also think is
yeah,
like a really good point, because I think a lot of times people just like wait for something to come along and they just think like,
Mhm.
oh, if I just, stay with this long enough, blah, 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 like that they'll just come to
Yeah.
me. And I think that's like the thing people make mistakes of with being on the apps for so long is like, it's really easy, like you mentioned, to get burnout from being on the apps. But the thing
Mhm.
is, like, when you put all that pressure, like, I need to have somebody by the time I turn 30, like,
Right.
it doesn't make your experience on the apps pleasant either. And I think, like,
Yeah.
that's the point that I love about the way you reached out to Patrick, is that, like, you found something that you liked aside from, like, looking at the profile, like, just being really interested
Mhm.
in the person. Like, you found something that you guys had in common. And I think that
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
the difference between finding somebody that you think like it could be a good person to date for a couple months and finding your partner, because a partner is somebody
Yeah.
that like you have things in common with, who you find that will challenge you, who will like add
Mhm.
to your life. um
Yeah,
and
right.
I think that's like so important, and it's also the difference, I think, in finding somebody that you settle for versus finding somebody who's going to have the longevity of a relationship.
Right. Like I feel like when you like put so much expectation into this one thing, like I'm sure like a lot of people are on the apps because they feel like that's their only method of like meeting people and finding someone, that like when the expectations are not met, you just feel super like disappointed, because it's you just kind of put like all your eggs in one basket. Like you think this app is gonna like give you the person that you want. And I feel like if the apps aren't working, like you have to like also just put yourself out there in other forms of like meeting people. Like I don't know, like join some communities, go to like socials that your friends invite you to, and just like put yourself out there. Like when things come your way, just go for it. And like honestly, you never know, you can honestly meet someone at a coffee shop or like just wherever else. Like it's just not like good to really set the expectation that this dating app will give you the person that you dreamed of, because like honestly modern dating is just a lot of kind of like browsing the menu. Like if you're like into the person, that person could be into like 10 other people. Like
Yeah.
yeah, like I think
Yeah.
when I'm on apps, like I like to talk to the person 1 or 2 weeks before actually going on a date with them, because I just feel like going on a date and then figuring out that you wasted a bunch of your time is like the worst thing. So like I think you really got to do your like due diligence before really investing your real life time with that person. And like talking for 1 or 2 weeks can make a huge difference than to like just like talk for a day and then go on a date. So like I just like to kind of like take things a bit more slow when
It's
I'm
a
on
great way
dating
to
apps.
filter out people too. I think I agree.
Yeah.
I usually do
Yeah.
that as well. I'll spend a couple of days talking to them and see if they can handle talking for a little bit
Right.
before dying to like go on a date. And I don't know what
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
expectations of or for after
Yeah.
the date
Yeah.
are, but it's a great
Yeah.
way to
Exactly.
filter people out. I also think that I agree, Lauren, I feel like take some time away from the apps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Suki said, like go do things that you love, go do things that make you happy. Maybe you'll meet someone there, maybe not. But I think what you need to focus on is being able to enjoy time by yourself and loving yourself and being really happy being you, rather than
Yeah.
having this desperate desire to have someone be with you just because you want to be a young mom. Like the
Right,
energy
right.
you put out is the energy you're going to bring back in. And I think we need to shift the energy a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that like when you like love yourself so much that like other people will also see the qualities that you love about yourself, and that will attract people towards you. And I feel like you shouldn't have your identity be like, I need to be a mom. Like it's not that.
Yeah.
And you never want to, and you don't want to be a mom with the wrong person. So you gotta just take your time and really find that person that really, really like is the one for you.
Well, I think that's a great way to close it out. Suki, thank you so much for coming on today. We are so
No
lucky to have
problem.
you. You gave such a
Yeah. No, that was super, super fun. And it was so great chatting with both of you.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me on here.
Thank you for coming on. Honestly, this was such a great episode. I loved just hearing about your experience. It's really cool.
Thank you both.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. As always, please subscribe and rate us and write a review if you like what you're hearing, or if you don't like what you're hearing, so that we know what we can do better on wherever you like to listen to your podcasts.
And we love hearing from you. So please, please, please keep sending us your letters, your DMs, your voice notes, your anonymous letters. We love it all and we love reading it all.
Yes, please. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Damsels in the DMs.
Until next time.
It's going down in the DMs. Bye.
DMs, we don't need them, we just leave them.
Please.
Yeah.
It's going down in the DMs. Bye.